Okay, so now we're going to talk about factoring a trinomial by grouping. This is when the leading coefficient is not 1. So it's like another number. Some textbooks refer to this as the AC method, so don't be surprised if I say that. Or it's sometimes referred to as the big X method. There's a few other methods out there that use the same principles, but we'll just go with what they call it, factoring a trinomial by grouping. So what you do is you want to find two numbers that multiply to be, you have to take the leading coefficient times the back constant. So we want them to multiply to be negative 30. That's why it's sometimes referred to as the AC method, because you have like ax squared plus bx plus c. And so you're taking the a times the c, okay? So you're going to take that front coefficient, make sure it's in standard form, take the leading coefficient times the constant. Okay, so we get a negative 30 when we do that. So we want two numbers that multiply by negative 30, add to be still that middle coefficient, 7. Okay, so think about the numbers. And that's always the fun part, like thinking of the numbers, what multiplies to be negative 30, adds to be 7. You might see it right off. If you don't see it, I recommend making a list. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. All those are what multiply to be 30, right? So what's my best bet? I want a negative 30. I want the smaller number to be negative, because I get a positive over here, a positive 7. Okay, negative 3 and 10, that'll do it. Now, the difference though is you don't get to just make the parentheses. What we do is it's like we're doing FOIL, but we're undoing it. We're going backwards with FOIL. So you have 5x squared, that's the leading term, but now your 7x, you're going to split it into a negative 3x and a positive 10x. And then you're still going to have the minus 6 at the end. Okay, so you're just taking the middle term and you're splitting it up. Now, how do you know how to split it up? I mean, why didn't I make it like 3 and 4 or negative 15 and 8, or I'm sorry, 15 and negative 8? Well, that's why I did this work over here, was to find the right combination. If you find the right numbers though, then it's all going to work out for you. Now it's a grouping situation. And so you split these in half, 2 terms and 2 terms, and you look for the greatest common factor. So right here, the greatest common factor is x. And then you look at the back 2 terms and you look for the greatest common factor, which they're both divisible by 2. Now it's going to be an addition sign. It's going to be a positive 2. It goes by that symbol right there. And then when you factor out a 2, you have left 5x minus 3. You see 2 times 5x, that's the 10x. 2 times negative 3, that's the negative 6, okay? You do the same thing over here. X times 5x, that's the 5x squared. X times negative 3x, that's the, or x times negative 3 is the negative 3x. Okay, anyway, that's how it all works out. And then what's really cool about the grouping method, this parenthesis right here is going to look just like this one. And if that doesn't happen, something went wrong with your method. But if you did it right, those are going to be the same parenthesis. So you're going to factor out that parenthesis they have in common, 5x minus 3. And then what's left is this x plus 2. So think about it. You're taking all of this times x, that's this part. And then you're taking all of this times 2, and that's this part. Kind of tricky, huh? Okay. So my answer, though, is 2 binomials, 5x minus 3 times x plus 2. Now, if you're like, oh, well, I don't think I'm going to get that right or whatever, you could check it with FOIL. 5x squared plus 10x minus 3x minus 6. And then that simplifies to be 5x squared plus 7x minus 6, which is way back up here what we started with. Okay, so this is the check. This is the answer right there. those two binomials that are being multiplied. Remember, we're factoring, we're trying to get things to be multiplication, stuff times stuff. Okay, so I threw in another example just so you can see another one. So here we go with the grouping method. You're going to go 2 times 9, which is 18. So we want two numbers that multiply to be 18 and add to be 9. So stop the video if you want, think of the numbers. Maybe you already have them. It's going to be 3 and 6, right? 3 times 6 is 18, and if I add 3 and 6, I get 9. Okay. Keep your first term, 2x squared. Now this 9x in the middle, that's what's the splitting up. You're going to have a 3x, and you're going to have a 6x. Now you might be asking, well, does it matter if I put the 6x first and then the 3x, or the 3x and then the 6x? It doesn't matter. Okay. And then you have a 9 at the back. Okay. Now I always have students draw a little dotted line here for the grouping. So you're splitting 2 and 2. Look at the first two terms. What do they have in common? This time it's an x, 2x plus 3. So you can think about multiplying, that's 2x squared, that's the 3x. I feel like it's similar to the last one we did. And then it's going to be plus, now that addition sign comes from there. And then you look for what they have in common. It's a 3, and then you have left 2x plus 3. This is the 6x, that's the 9. Now, the big highlight moment here is that parenthesis the same as that parenthesis. Yes, then our grouping worked. And so we have the factor they have in common, 2x plus 3. And then you have these little things in front making the other factor, x plus 3. You can check it with FOIL, but it's all going to work. Okay. If you have another method for those problems, like trial and error is another method, or the big X method, that's a popular one. I'm fine with that, but this is the method I usually demonstrate, and it's the one I teach.